I want to welcome everyone to today's session with the M365 Philly. I'm forgetting the name of our virtual summit here, but I appreciate everyone coming out and we are going to have a lovely presentation from our good friend, who is Hans here, presented from the Tri-State Office 365 Users Group, as well as Soho Dragon and the Tech Platform, where tech meets. So thank you for attending. If you have any comments or questions during the session, please use your chat and I'll be monitoring. And Hans, if we get towards the end and we do have some questions, I will jump in and let you know what those questions are. So with that, please start.
So thank you. That's a good and warm welcome. Now I am Seattle. So I coming from, and I presented here virtual from Germany. So we have 9 o'clock in the evening. The sun is going down. We have a sunny day here in southern Germany. And I will talk about the cloud in my handbag. And I have so many slides that I have to start at the beginning. First, you do not have to talk and listen. Therefore, I have a lot of QR codes later on at the end, but you have to know, okay, you find me with the name in email, in LinkedIn, in Twitter, Facebook, Sing, Instagram, whatever you want. And sometimes it's the best you follow me on Twitter. That's a quick version, but keep in mind, if you have any question, and I cannot answer all the questions, maybe you have some questions about OneDrive. I'm working as a cloud productivity evangelist, and I'm an MVP since now 8 years. Okay, I have to regard that. 7 years was the old one. And this time, since 21 days, I'm in the 8 years. So, and that is very interesting for me to have a good situation talking about OneDrive also with the product group. The next 15 minutes, I will talk about a little bit about the SharePoint storage, a little bit of versioning. What's versioning? Okay, we have to declare it. It's a 100 to 300 a session. It depends, whatever you want to see. Then we talk a little bit about OneDrive files on demand to visualize what that's behind the scene, that you can have a lot of a small device is inside your handbag and have some petabytes of data in there. How is it possible? That's okay. Then I talk about the request files. That's never a new thing. And then I talk about that's not often a little bit of a look into the future. In the next few months, we will have add shortcasts to my files. And then we go 9 months. It could be that it takes all long with a sync admin report to see what administrators have, and a bit of OneDrive and storage sense group policies, only a bit for you if you are looking as an admin in this area. So first, you see these 3 symbols that was in the past, and that was not so easy to understand what's in there. I have blue, blue, blue. No, blue, blue, and white. So we have to look for that. The white one is the personal thing. That's OneDrive personal. Microsoft says it's OneDrive. Yes, but if you do not understand the correct way, OneDrive and OneDrive for business, hey, what's the difference? So the white one is your personal thing. You take it with you. If you leave a company, you take the white one with you. That's your personal thing. Therefore, you have a vault in there for the personal things, and that will never happen in the OneDrive for business thing. But you see, that's blue and blue. What's the difference? And then we have to say, yes, there was a time you have a SharePoint on premises. Yes, sometimes people have to do it, although in the new times have a SharePoint on premises, but this is the old one. And therefore, we call this Groove client. And the Groove client was developed very, very early in the Boston area. And then comes to Microsoft, and then we have the first client product. That means SharePoint Workspace. That was the Groove client. And to the left side, a little bit higher blue. Normally, you don't see that, but it could be that you have both clients in your machine or 3 clients. That's a next generation sync client called OneDrive XE, and that's for Office 365. And I make it now available. That's a different one. If you still have a SharePoint server on premises below 2019, you still may have the blue one, the dark blue one, the Groove client. And if you are still also have in the cloud, you still will also with Office 365, we will have the left one. And Microsoft has decided, okay, we cannot change it. It's a little bit tricky to see what is where. And therefore they decide we make some new symbols. And then you see, hey, that's the symbol we have. And therefore you have two different symbols. That's the easier part. So I have to say, what are the different ways to synchronize? You see there is coming up here an animated slide. We come starting with OneDrive Personal. We're going over OneDrive for Business, the Shared with Me, the document library, Synchronization is more than one tenant. And then we go to business. That's the king discipline of synchronization. And I will show you with some insight in the slides what's happened there. You see on the left side, that's me. I'm working on my desk. I have OneNote, I have Word, Excel, PowerPoint on me, and I'm going over the internet and I present it for you, but also I'm going to my OneDrive Personal. You can have more than one. OneDrive Personal, you only need some credentials. You only have to say, okay, it's me, it's Hans, and then I can establish that one. But you have to read carefully because you have some free space there. So that's a normal thing you can have with your pictures, starting with your smartphone, making some pictures, and it will directly go into OneDrive Personal. Therefore, I call it OneDrive Personal. That's for my personal things. But we can have all a little bit more. If we are going in an Office 365 tenant, you see, there is also some OneDrive, but we call it OneDrive for Business. Hey, OneDrive Personal, it's up to you. You can take it with you. OneDrive for Business is your longer space. You do not have it physical on your device in the cloud. Hey, that's easy, because it means if you have a company or inside working as an employee in your company with 200 or 500 people, 500 OneDrive for Business are there. And that's a storage you have for your business documents. So we have to look for that. The third one is shared with me. So if you are working with me, you can share from your OneDrive for Business some information and share it to me and say, hey, Hans, look at that. And I can see that in my Outlook. And I have to say, okay, we should a little bit work on these documents who are in there. And that's an easy part. I can say, okay, the first time I go into the browser and see, okay, you shared with me the documents. And then I press the sync button inside the SharePoint because it's inside all these stuff here in Office 365 are in SharePoint. Means, yes, now the things are synchronized to my machine. Perfect. That means I do not have to know, hey, where is your shared with me files? I have it on my machine, and later on I show it how does it work, or does it see it's inside your Windows Explorer. So we can work on all this stuff. So that's shared with me as a synchronization. And you see, hey, this looks complicated. It's not only a file server. You have to look for that. I'm user A and you are user B. And I give you the information over the internet and say, hey, that's up to you. And you can have it also on your machine and can work with that. That's a principle of that. The principle is very easy if you understand. You should not, even if it's only one file, you should not share a file with me. Put it in a folder wherever in your OneDrive for Business. Put this one file in the folder and share with me the complete folder. Then I can synchronize that. That's a trick behind the scene. Shared with me. And that means, yes, you see that here is my company name. As you see here, more than one company, later on live also. And you see the user Julian Versuch shared with me the folder Ignite demo. And that are 2 files or 3, but this file is not interesting for us. So you see, hey, that's going to be very interesting. You see also a status symbol. What does it mean? We came together in the next few slides. So there is although the possibility to see this with different people all on my machine. You can have it there. If we are ending it, you can take it out. It's very easy. So then we have, let's say, in your SharePoint, some sites, and we also talk about not on the sites in SharePoint. 95% is going with sites and all this stuff, but in the sites, I only talk about the different document libraries, not only from one site, but also from other sites we have. So the difference is that we can see that that's only document library. Team site A maybe is HR. Team site B maybe is marketing. So all the people who have access to marketing, the documents are inside team sites, inside the SharePoint library there. And I can synchronize this stuff. That's very interesting to see. Hey, all these things can be synchronized. But you remember, my device, my biggest device, only has 256 gigabytes. And I have more than 50,000 documents on my machine. It will never happen. Therefore, we must have a trick coming with Windows 10. So putting all together, you see that the tenant is in Office 365, the blue one with Share with Me and all the team document libraries, and the OneDrive personal on the left. So that means it's okay. This is one tenant. But sometimes you can have, although if you are a consultant, sometimes it could be that you have more than one tenant. That means we have to look, how does it look now? So I put it on the right side and I put a second tenant right. And you see, okay, I need a license from this company. I have a OneDrive for Business. I have several team sites, whatever the names are in there. But I have only one OneDrive personal. So if you ask me how many, I have a customer in Poland. He says to me, oh, I need 25. And I have to say, sorry, 9 on the right side, tenant A, B, C, D, and so on, 9, and 1 OneDrive personal. You cannot have more. You can have more, but you can have only one syncing on your machine. So therefore, you have to know that 9 plus 1 OneDrive personal. So I have to say, okay, what's about the business-to-business synchronization or tenant-to-tenant synchronization? Listen on this here. We have a tenant, we call it customer, and we have a tenant on the other side, not we, with other company, that's tenant marketing. And I have to say, hey, how does it work? How does it work there? I, as an administrator, can say to the people at tenant marketing, okay, I need all the email addresses, give it to me, and then I can have that you have access to this B2B marketing document library. So the people here inside the tenant may have access from this side, it's a marketing group, and the other people also have access without the possibilities. That they have no authentication. They authenticate directly to tenant marketing and not to the other tenant. That means there's a trust between tenant customer and tenant marketing. And the thing is that I can have, if I'm working in the marketing group, I can have these styles here on my machine, but although the people in the tenant marketing have this stuff also on her machine. That looks complicated. It is. So there's a 180 document thing about business-to-business synchronization. And the thing is, we can control as a tenant customer the possibilities what the tenant marketing people do. That's only all with the name has to be established as external users, and there is also a license. But anyway, that's the technical stuff you have for business-to-business synchronization. And if you have more, I have another one, a tenant procurement. Hey, it's also possible. So for people who have a delivery or something, you can have many for all these different goods and may change documents about all this stuff directly into your file explorer. it looks a little bit complicated. Now I have here the machine, and it looks although that we have SharePoint online. So you have to look a document library with a SharePoint site. Yeah? Also a OneDrive for Business user. That's although a document library. That's a new site collection. That means each OneDrive for Business user has a site collections, 500 users, 500 site collections, 500 document libraries. And only the user one or user two has appreciated to our library, to our document library is on the left, has here access, not to the other one. And that's a difference, that's all above in SharePoint Online. And if you know, we have seen some sessions with Teams, and in Teams, you also see some files that are not stored on the Teams client. They are also stored in SharePoint Online in a different document library. That's cool. And in Teams, you also have the possibility to make some special things via a private channel. And with a private channel, that's a subset, we still have a hidden document library also where all the documents we have to save there in this library. And again, you can have a click on it and have to see it and synchronize all the data to your machines. That means on the left side, you see the hard disk storage of my small machine with me in my cloud hand baggage. It's small. On the right, you see all the different libraries, and therefore we have to say it will expand my local storage. But we have to see for a storage thing, what's free, you have to know. In a company, they have 1 terabyte plus 10 gigabyte for each user for all sites and all document libraries. And we have still for each user a 1 terabyte up to 5 terabyte storage for his OneDrive for Business. So yes, it will never happen. I do not have any hard disk with 1 terabyte with me. How does it will match? So you have to know that it's very easy. It's on this side, it looks like Dropbox, Box, and other cloud storages. But people want to say, yes, I need also a drive letter. I need it like we have it in the shared files in the past. No, it's different. And I show you why. So we have it on the left side, and now I have something like SharePoint, that's SharePoint Online. And you see, I'm an administrator, I can go up and down, and here we have a little bit some rooms. That's a small house. Yes, in the past, we have it on premise, that's a small single machine, but you can have more houses, and therefore you have a SharePoint farm. So that's the equivalent technical perspective what we have. So looking at that means in the upper store, you see some, yes, many things. That's the OneDrive for Business. Each of these blue, white things are a user's OneDrive for Business storage. So listen, here we have some document library, here one for marketing, and you see sometimes one is a creator and the other are members. Thinking of a family. Family is not the good one because family only says father, mother, daughter, and son. And the fifth we take, yes, there is some license out there. The fifth is the dog or your refrigerator, whatever. But it can be more in a company. So therefore you have to decide what will you do. And I say if I have a study and therefore they have a different rooms and therefore we have to look for that. And that's a different room like there. But we have a contract. Only one person has a contract, and that's the authenticator with the yellow key. He speaks with the facility manager. No one else. Not me. I do not have. I only have a subcontract. So that means I only have a red key. And that's the same we have inside a SharePoint library, different rules. And therefore, not all people can do everything. And therefore, it's different for this stuff. So we have a doc-lib for the finance department. We have a doc-lib for ideas in our company. We have a doc-lib for sales. So that's a company where we have different users. Sometimes people in the doc-lib sales do not have access to the ideas. The salespeople do not have, absolutely not have access for finance people. So therefore, we can differentiate it with different rights, what you will do. So that's the first thing we have. On the other hand, that's only some old data. We have the free storage. It was expanded the last time in first, that means April 2018. And then they say, okay, we still will have for each document. And now I speak about the document, an Excel file or a Word file. For each document, you have a version. A version? Yes, I create something, a Word document, and I save it inside the cloud in a OneDrive for Business or in these libraries. We spoke about that. And then I change it. I'm only working alone this time. I change it, or other people may change it. And each time that make it change, there will have a new version. So listen for that. You see, there are different threads. So that's the newest one. And here you see some oldest one. And normally, if you do not do something, you have a version history up to 500 document changes. That's enough, I think, for the most. I have a document I will show you that comes here. You see version 633, but I only can access the last 500 because that's a standard. You can have more, and you have to know that you have to see not only here that's a document in there, but also on all versions you have. And listen, the first things we have in the document libraries was if I have a PowerPoint presentation, I target, okay, the new presentation about our products, draft. And then I change it, okay, make a new one or make the same one and say copy, save as, draft 1, draft 2, final, finaler, or I'm the finalist. You do not do that anymore. That was on the old file server. Here you target the new products. Done. Because if you save something, change something, delete something, and change again, all things are in different versions. So we have to look for what's happened in there, and then we see what's going on in there. The different possibilities, SharePoint via web browser, we talk about that. You see it in this way. The different one also in a Windows File Explorer. You see here that the File Explorer, that means we have to look here. That means that Mr. OneDrive Spot, we talk about that, there's documentation. And if you click on that and say version history, then a Windows will open and we see that. That's a version history. We can also have here and view online. There's also, that's one of the blue or white things. Here we can have all the blue things. And then you see also in an Excel sheet. This Excel sheet, I have to measure my blood each day. And that's the 3 times, that's a date. And that means in the morning I do that. And here I have stopped smoking in the US. And now it's 1,300 and a lot of days. That's my actual weight. And that's some data with I always have once a day for Twitter statistics and so on. And you see, that's okay. Now we are in line 1663 here in April. So that means we have to look into the parse. Only 500 versions are available for me. Means, okay, how could that compressed? It doesn't work with all this stuff in Windows 10. So we have to know that. And people that call it at Microsoft files on demand. And we have to look about that. That's also a possibility for the admins that you can kill some stuff automatically with storage sense. So we look later on, how does it look? The thing is, that if you synchronize something and if you say, okay, I roll it out in my new company, that means we have to look for that. And that means, okay, if we do not have Windows 10 or Windows 10 below 1709, forget it. Yeah, means you do not have files on demand. So that means you have your files, and although the files has to be synchronized, that means that's a red curve. But the flattened curve is false on demand, because normally you should also have it automatic enabled that the files will not be completely sync. There is only the file name and some other stuff, and I will show you it a little later. That comes with 1709. That means in 2017, in the September area, and higher you have all this stuff. Or if you are going out with a Mac, then you have it with the OS Mojave with the current file things to update 1.8, and you see the numbers there. So we now have some symbols, and you see that symbol says your file is only available in cloud. Cloud only. The second one with the green marker is a local available file. The third one is always available file. And the last one is that sometimes you have it, if it's syncing, if it's a little bit bigger, then you have to know about that. Then the file thinks a little bit longer. It depends on your up and unload. So syncing, I know that in US also you do not have, again, over the complete area, a complete good internet. So we have it in Germany. We have to drive some kilometers, and I have no internet there. So you have to look for that. If you're going out, it must be at least local available or always available. Means then it's offline. Then you have a complete document for that on your machine. And I told you, hey, we have some storage sense files that the administrators can work with that and delete some stuff. Not delete, they can say, okay, I make a local available file going and do it to cloud only. That means if I say I have local, it's the same, I have a copy in the cloud. It's identical. And if I say I want to have it only cloud only, I only have it on my machine. That means only in the cloud, sorry. And these are the GPO storage sense. Later on, we show it about. Thinking a little bit, now it's a little bit technical, we have NTFS simplified there. That means you have a file name, we have a type, you have some pics or storage for a small picture. Means, yes, without the content, the real content of your 5 megabyte high resolution picture, without the content, you still have a small portion inside the FAT, file allocation table. We have some attributes and we have some dates. I do not have it here on this slide, but it means creation date, modified date, and so on. And then I have a pointer to the real content. That's the start. And after that, I have a pointer to the next and to a pointer to the next. That's the content. Means if I have a complete file on my machine in OneDrive or OneDrive for Business or all these document libraries, they have the status with a green marker or the full green, means it's completely on your machine. And if I say, okay, I can do it with the right mouse, I want to have it only in the cloud, it takes a second, then it's in the cloud. That means we destroy the pointer. That's all. The name is on your thing. You see the file name and you see if it's a picture, you see the picture although because it's there. There's a place in there. So that means if I have a lot of files with this only in the cloud, that means I can have all the data with me, but I need an internet to access it. And if you go to the internet and say, okay, double click on this file, it takes that, and then it will be downloaded and you have the content. And with the respective, if it's a pig, it opens with your file viewer, or if you have a duck, it opens with your board, and so on. That's the principle about that. You see that? That's a picture about that with the 3 symbols. You can read that. That's an easy part. But you also have to say, okay, in this time, you see all the stuff what you want to have on your machine with the latest version. You always have in the File Explorer your latest version. Now we want to have access from people outside of our organization. We want to have some pictures or some documents, but I don't want to let in. It's not so easy. I can have and share a document. No, I do not want that they have to share a document. I call this feature request files. No, Microsoft is calling that. And that's 3 parts. There is an invitation. I will do that with you. And we have a receiver on this type. And then we have some notification. How does it work? So let's look in the past, in this slide. I have to go into the browser. In the browser, there are all things you have to do is to go to the browser. So people in my age normally say, oh, why should I go into the browser? For this feature, you have to go to the browser because request the files is not without the browser possible. Thinking, you can have Outlook as a native application and working with calendar and entries and so on, but you can do it also with a web browser. And therefore, we need some web browsers normally, and you have to say, okay, I have created a folder called collection, and I have to mark it. And then you see here in the upper thing, request files. I put on that. I have to say, okay, request the files, enter file name there. I put it for that because the people outside the organization, they see only the name and the description. So first thing is I write the name, Mr. OneDrive Spot. I tell you later what's there. And then I say also, okay, how the people there, I can copy the link. I can take it directly from here, or I can take it and say it, okay, I will do it and send it from Outlook. So are people with the link, and you see how the people are there. There's a people front test outside my organization. It says to me, and although the message, please upload your pics for Mr. OneDrive Spot. And I press the send button, it's out. So that was my invitation to this guy, to say, okay, he has to collect. We now change the picture. We are now this test person. So you see here, that's Franz Test. He got this message. Hans Brender sent you a request from Mr. OneDrive Spot with the message, please upload the pics. So that's the thing I see. And I have to press upload files, and I can do it. It opens automatically in his browser, Franz Test browser, and I can select some files and put some things, some pictures I want to share it with Hans Brender and give it up here. That's the only thing he has to see. But the thing is, I have to say with more people that I'm Franz Test. That's the name. I do not have to authorize nothing. It will go automatically. These files are automatically uploaded. That's an easy part. And if I say it's automatically, during the name, you should have the name, because if you are not sure, do I have, if you have done the first, if I close it, do I have things all right? Oh, I forgot 02 but. And if you do it and press the button again, you don't see the upper part, but you can say, okay, I put 0 port ping, and it called you and check it, although with your name and with a version number behind the scene, -1, -2, and so on. Therefore, it will nothing overwrite. There is also possible that you have on more than one person. Therefore, we need the name, because the people may have the same file name. And therefore, he has to have it with the name of the description. If it's correct or it's not correct, it has nothing to do, but we only need the name to differentiate the files we to upload. Therefore, we need the name. So that's this thing, but we have to look. Hey, I'm ready. Hey, Franz test, your upload was successful. That's the only thing I see. So that's an easy part, but you have to look. Sometimes in the organization, the organization admins have to say, no, we do not have to open our SharePoint libraries or my OneDrive for Business. That's also SharePoint library for outside organization. Then it's not possible to change it. And on the other hand is the administrator also have, if they have allowed us to share data with external, anonym, that's not a problem, but they have, the administrators can say, I want to share my documentation, but only for a short period of time. So in the past, there was 90 days. Now you have 730 days, that's 2 years. A big customer has to say to Microsoft, we need 2 years. But you as a user can reduce it to 1 month, 14 days, whatever you want. So in some companies, I know they have only 4 weeks. They have to say, okay, if they want to open it and have no access, they have to call you directly and have to say, I need it again. I was in holidays. I was in vacation. Now they have to do it differently. So to see new files, I also got a notification. I do not have to watch always if the people are done. If they have uploaded, so I have to change here the picture. That's me, and you see there are some bot pics, and see the new files. So I do not have to know. I have to see on this document in my Outlook, press the button, it opens, and I see all the stuff there. So that is okay. Also, I have a second version and have the second thing if I told you. And sometimes you have to see, I try it. If an error comes up, if I make these pictures, there was not possible to have a file bigger than 15 gig. I created the file test 20 gig as a text file. That's an easy part. You can look it on my blog post, how easy it is. It's a command and it's very easy, but you need at least, if you say 20 gig, at least 20 gig on your machine. And then I tried to upload. In the past, it was not possible. Now it's possible. Now you have a limit up to 100 gigabyte to upload one file. CAD, whatever. But here it was not possible. And therefore they say, okay, if you take 120 gig, then this message also come up. So summary, works only in OneDrive for Business, but it means if you have a OneDrive for Business, yes, on the left side only stands OneDrive, but it's not the white symbol, it's a blue symbol, OneDrive for Business. There you can request it. You must be able to share to external users, anonym. If you have, press a button, and I will show it in the next slide, and you see it's white, it's not possible, then you are not allowed during your administration. Then you can say, okay, I have to do it and send it via email or whatever. That's the only thing I can do. So here you see it. Link settings on the left side, it's great. The administration has to say, no anonymous access. You can have it only with this function. And here is the right one, anyway, with this link. And you see that's a possibility. If you see that, you can try it from your Explorer. You can try it from OneDrive for Business, whatever. You see the same thing, the 4 different versions to share information outside, also for request the files. So here we have it also that the thing we can have, and you see with the expire date and so on, there are some possibility that you see what you can do with all this stuff. Times for access remain the same as for all external access. So again, if the administrators say, okay, we have to set it 90 days, that's 90 days is to set. You can change that, a little bit complicated. Microsoft will make it very easy to have these access, but that means 90 days. And after 90 days, this open door, it's not an open door, but this door will be closed automatically. So the next function is a new one that will come in the next few months. Hopefully you see my files, and you see also if I have one, I can admit these function automatically. Means I can have in the files shared with me and can say, okay, I want to add a shortcut. That means you can have and synchronize these data also, and also change the name. That could be complicated. But anyway, Microsoft is doing that. That means they have a shortcut, and in the shortcut they have access to the real data. Means although if I have only a shortcut, you can change here the name on the right side, and then it's easy if you have a changing name that this is not synchronized back to there where it comes from. But that's another possibility, shortcut to any file where you have on your system and have synchronized. You can do that also, add shortcut to my files. And you have to look again, that's available here in the Q3, means now, 2020, that will come in the near future. So now the next one is a little bit complicated, a little bit more. Means, okay, it's available in the first quarter of 2021. So I saw the first one at the Ignite 2019. So the thing is that we have no control and do not see as an administration part, how does it work? How does it goes on with our clients? Is there any synchronization error and so on? And therefore you need a sync admin report. That means you see all the data, you can say, okay, that's the machine name, they have a little bit problem, and see all of the stuff. So that's a continuous syncing. You have to say, okay, I want to do that with my 15,000 users. Then you got a list inside the admin machine, mean, okay, all the things are there. And that I call it proactive. I can call this user, hey, you user, I have to say, you have a sync problem. Normally, the people do not reach you because they have a problem and they do not see that they have a problem. If you not have the right sync between the cloud and the machine, they have some problems with you. So that's an overview. How many computers have problem? How many percentage of your devices have backup? Known folder move enabled, that's okay. All things for known folders like documents, like desktop files, will be moved or synced into the cloud. If you want to do that, I will show you later on. And the most important errors with inactive compounds and so on, and the version what are there. Because the OneDrive Sync client automatically brings you the new client automatically. Each machine when they reach a machine. Once a day they look, do you have a new one? There is a new one for you, then you will have it. So sometimes if you are on vacation, if you are ill, whatever, that means you have a different version there. Therefore, you have here in the report and see all the machine. Means a think health. Yes, there's an H. That is okay, sorry. Machine listing, what is wrong? And this is also detailed display with an error message of the selected machine. Will come Q1 in 2021. The group policies is a possibility. Now we have to hurry up that we also have the last thing for live demo, a small one. You see, there's a lot of group policies. Each symbol, I make some symbol, it's okay, I have show it on Ignite, all these 40 group policies, what you see. So there are so many group policies, what you can do and can handle with that, that if you are an administrator, have to look for that. That's an easy part. Many of these group policies, you don't need that. But sometimes you should say, oh, that's very interesting to have the right policy enabled or not. So here for the red one, prevent users from fetching files remotely. That is no longer, we don't have to tell at the 31, that means next week, this functionality will cut out if you have set the policy or have not set the policy. That's not the issue because they do not need it anymore. Microsoft cut this function. That's the computer things that you have computer configuration, also have user configuration. You have the warning if sometimes people do delete too many files, whatever they want to do with that, and you have to look for that. Means, yes, the different synchronization. Now we have to look about that, and I will show you the first one. That means we should have this one. And don't think about, I make it a little bit darker because I look into the light. You see, there's a bug here on my machine because I have the tenant 2 times. That means, yes, I'm looking with Microsoft what that happened, but I have another tenant, means, yes, you see, it's only in the cloud. Here I have more things. Oh, that looks only in the cloud, not all, but you have to see that the different version, whatever your information you have there, you see the data and it goes into the deep, it goes very quick. That's here looks, it's a SharePoint. And this here is a SharePoint 2. That's my test tenant that I have, a developer tenant. Yeah? And you see all the files, here some beta files, and it's out. So that means, yes, you can have that. That's my OneDrive for Business in the blue icon. That's my OneDrive for Business. Yeah? For this tenant, that's the second one. And here you see OneDrive Personal. And you see, yes, the data are still there, and although you have the data there. For example, for this one, I have it in all. I have a file here. You see it, test 20 gig. Look for these numbers, 19531 megabytes. That's a big file, and it's synced. That was a file you saw the error messages during these days, and I show it also. That means if you have all these data, that's very interesting to say, okay, look for this one, and I have to select, put the right thing, and say version history. And now the thing is there. I have to look it for that. That means it's a different version of these Excel files, 16th of July with the different versions that is out there. And you can say, what do you want? Restart, download, or delete. Means this version will be deleted out of the complete program. That's okay. The file is still there, but you have the functionality without going in there. And on the other hand, when you have all these files there, you see here it's a bit of this one, this company. It's from a woman from Italy, and they give me some files and make it available. So therefore, we have it here. So on my notification area, I have 3 blue and 1 white icon. White icon was a OneDrive Personal, and the blue ones are there. And if we look for that inside, we have to click on that. Stand by a second. I have to do it on the machine to show you. This is this one, and we have to do that. And say settings, and now I can show you. It's not impossible to show all this. I am working here with three different monitors. Therefore, you see it's okay. The settings are there, and here is files on demand switch. It's always on, but I cannot change it. So in my operations, I have set the group policies for all users files on demand. Normally it's set, but the user can set it out, and therefore it's different. I have to say, no, it's not possible for that. Then I have my account, and you see the different one folders, what I have to sync. It's all in one OneDrive for Business with the storage area and all these things. Sometimes you also have to cut out several things, means you can have the folders, and I can say, okay, this 12 megabyte, I do not want to sync anymore. That's a complete, it's nothing to sync. It's not files on demand. It will not sync these folder in there. You can have up to 300,000 documents or files, not more, because the client engine is not available for more of these files. So that was there. On the other thing, I want to show you the storage sense. You find that in storage. And in storage, you have to say configure storage sense. And then you have the possibility for all different things and can configure what will be happen here. It's a mess. It's better to do and let the administration do this stuff to control Windows 10 machines. This function is only available if you have 1809, and it's not directly a OneDrive feature, but we can dehydrate, and that's a OneDrive feature. It comes with storage sense in Windows 10. And the last not least, before I spend up, I have to do the last one, and I have to show what I have done and have said. Yes, that's Mr. OneDrive spot. We have to say it's running in Teams. Now you see Teams. And in Teams, Mr. OneDrive spot, that's intelligence. I give him now many questions you normally will take. And I can say, okay, let's do and say welcome. That's live. Hopefully we will have a good choice. Oh, he says hello and welcome. That's okay. And you see, there is also, you can ask him a lot of questions. Although, who is Hans? If you have it, you don't have to type it in, but sometimes you also have to say, okay, what's difference with OneDrive and OneDrive for Business? It's a little bit, it's only in 2 languages. We try it with 50 languages if it's ready. And now you see the difference between OneDrive for Business, and you see and can read it. It's not so good as IMI, but you see there's a lot of things that you can have that. And therefore I say, hey, that's Mr. OneDrive. You still have the chance to say, okay, I want to have a beta. We will roll it out in this month. And all the people can check it in English or German language and have all these questions. If you have, it runs inside Teams. It's an easy part. And therefore you can do that. Back to the slides for the next 8 minutes. It's only the conclusions. I do not see that there are any questions are there.
No,
I have to
no
look for that.
questions.
No questions.
Making sure you knew what time it was. That's all.
Yes, I know my time is always a little bit critical, but I will finish it absolutely what I want. So we have done that. We have talked about different synchronization, files on demand. You have seen storage sense. So the most things for you, where are these stuff coming from? It's not only on one position, but the best thing is you try for the new things, the OneDrive plug from Microsoft. The people also have it moved now to MS Tech Community. You have to click, you got the files, take now the camera, and I will show you later on, you have to look for that. That's a community, that's for the blog thing. The next one is I write it in 2 different languages, in German and in English. You find all the information, and I have to say, let's look what this information also is happened. So I have to done for the ground at the beginning, now the basics of OneDrive. And you see the slides, what happened in a short form. That's all the combinations we have spoken today in a short form. But I will write it here, and there's 10 capitals that you will see, hey, we talk about 2 versions are out, the next one will come in the next weeks, and you see all these information although, but I have to write it down because the normal things, we do not have to talk about, hey, new. No, that's the basics. And therefore, you can also have it on the blog side for me. So back to the slides. I forgot this one, therefore. And yes, on the other hand, there is an Office 365 roadmap. You have to look for that. You can have and say, okay, I want to check only OneDrive stuff if you're interested in that. And you see they are looking for that. And you see what's in development, what's rolling out, and what's launched. And on the other hand, I show you that's Mr. OneDrive. It will be in the future in 50 languages. So it will not, this bot has one thing. I need some sleep. The bot never sleeps. It gives you the information. And here is the first thing for you to have a possibility, make a picture for this thing. You can take only one. I show it later on in the last slides, because then you get the complete slide deck and can all different things making with the camera, all this stuff. So sometimes if you are administrator, we still have some problems for that. Means if you have a problem that the machine is going wrong, hard disk is defect, and you see how many synchronizations are there, there is no possibility to automatically have this stuff inside. You can have a lot of stuff, but not all. Means sometimes you have to know what's in there, what's out there, what you have synchronized, and that's not possible this time. And then you can go to user voice, save and restore, give you a tree, log in there and give me 3 things. I think we have now 100 or 150, I have no idea. And that means Microsoft is looking for that. Maybe we got for the administrators a new version. That's the recommendation here. Then here is the link, and that's okay. You can also write it down if you have no smartphone, no camera with you. There's https bit.ly handbag 07 2020. So here you got the slides completely. And that's the first one. And the last one is if you want to get the feedback for the speaker, for me, or for the complete event, please take this one. That's also in there. So you need only one. That was this one, bit.ly handbag 07 2020. And that means we are coming to the end. We have 3 minutes, no questions. And I have to say thank you. Means we have some sponsors, and you have to look tomorrow, the last day. Now that was the second day, and then this is the third day, and that's the sponsors. And I find it very interesting to speak on the M365 Philly Virtual SharePoint Saturday Philly. Thank you so much. And I have to say here, although follow me on Twitter or on Facebook or LinkedIn, whatever you want, or look for the things on Mr. OneDrive. And I say good night, people. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank everyone for attending. And please check out our other events that are still going on.